Hi everyone. I was scrolling through Facebook, which is probably a mistake, and saw a video or post that was talking about this young lady being fired for voting for Trump, and the headline is "This poor woman, please make this video this viral and expose the business that fired her. This could be a major lawsuit." I really hope it's not a major lawsuit for the reason that lawsuits should not be based on businesses' personal opinions, and a business has the right to decide whether someone can work for them or not based on really how the management and the employees can mesh well together. If they're not having this, they're not able to communicate properly or have a working a good workplace atmosphere, then there's really no reason why a lawsuit should be filed against a business for firing someone who voted for Trump when the boss was a non-Trump supporter. That's not a legal action, or that's not legally wrong. It's maybe morally wrong, and that's something that the private sector itself has to come together and the individuals say, no, that's not right. If that's the case, then we're not going to buy from this business. The young lady in the video, based on reading into what happened, was probably being a little too vocal and a little too overly aggressive about promoting the fact that her candidate won. No one likes a sore loser, but no one likes a gloating winner, and so that's one of those things where she was not advancing the movement of change that's happening in this country by gloating. We really have to come together in a very seeking the greater good and seeking to come together and move forward in the correct direction, which is less regulations and more individual freedoms. Being a business owner and being a manager is not easy. There's so many different things that you have to deal with. Now, granted, I do not agree with the decision of this employer to fire someone over a personal disagreement. I think that's ridiculous, and I think that you should be able to have a little bit more character than to fire someone over a personal disagreement. However, at the same time, if there is that level of tension and friction, then it's not going to be a healthy workplace. So I don't condemn the business owner legally for firing, and from what it sounds like, she wasn't necessarily fired. She was told to leave, and essentially, was terminated as a result of whatever happened. There, I feel bad for her, but I think that, there's some things that you don't instigate that kind of thing. If you're going to, I remember when I was working at a very liberal company, and it was an organics food distributor, so I'll just kind of keep it at that. And it was during the 2012 elections, and I was being very vocal about my opinions in opposition to now President Obama, and really just kind of bringing up some of my differing points of view and concerns with President Obama, as being reelected. And I was actually called aside to, by one of my bosses and said, hey, I heard that you're talking politics on the sales floor. And I said, yes, I am. And he's like, okay. And we kind of just talked about, he's like, so what are your opinions? And I just kind of shared with him my opinions. And they were very balanced opinions, in my opinion. But at the same time, there's no ramifications. But I was testing the water in that way. And I was looking to see if they would have any kind of ramifications against me for talking politics on the sales floor, only with fellow employees who were carrying on the conversation as well. It was a very, mutual discussion. We were going back and forth, talking about different points. I had a lot of fun. I think, my fellow coworkers were enjoying the conversation and the different points of view that we were having. There was no ramifications, and I also was not ramming down my opinion down other people's throats. they were just as involved in the conversation as I was. Romney ended up losing the election, and I was equally critical of Romney as well. So my overall point is, a lawsuit is the worst thing that could happen. I don't want there to be lawsuits because someone is considered to be racist because they don't hire enough employees. If you're running a business, you have the right to decide who works at that business. We don't need to shackle businesses with the additional responsibilities of being politically correct. That's a terrible thing, and it's by no means how a free market works. It has to be based on the business owner's gut instincts of who works well in the company. If the company ends up not hiring people who are, let's say, libertarian or Republican or conservative or whatever it is, then most conservatives, libertarians, or Republicans are probably not going to shop there because the employees are not of that same mindset, and you're going to create a divide. If that's what the business owner wants, then that's fine, and that's what should happen, is simply they get paid less by conservatives and Republicans and libertarians. There shouldn't be a legal ramification for firing someone based on a difference of opinion that led to a workplace conflict. That is the rational next step, is if there's a workplace conflict, for there to be, some kind of separation there. And if you can't be diplomatic enough to say, okay, I realize I probably shouldn't have been touting my opinion quite so verbally, given the fact that Trump's elected. Instead of saying, yay, Trump's elected, why not start talking about what Trump actually is most likely going to be doing? And actually having a rational discussion. I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's not the point, is you've got to have a rational discussion on what are the benefits of having a Trump president-elect versus not, instead of just gloating over Trump won the election. We really need to start to come together and be rational about these kind of things and stop making these knee-jerk reactions. It is morally unethical for us to say, that I may be mixing my terms there, but it's wrong to say that because this business let this woman go, either fired her, terminated her, or she quit, a mutual, whatever it may be, it is wrong for us to call for a lawsuit against that business. Now, if she wants to pursue a lawsuit against that business, that's fine, but if it turns out that it was solely based on her having a different opinion than the owner, and the owner not there wasn't any, anything wrong, other than the owner just not wanting to have to put up with her opinion, that's nothing wrong with that. If I had an employee who disagreed with me fundamentally on a principle, liberal or conservative doesn't matter, and I'm a business owner, and I get so frustrated at this employee that they're making my life harder, then yeah, I want to be able to fire that person. And I do not want to have the precedent, which I quite frankly don't think that law should be based on precedent, but that's a whole nother subject. But there shouldn't be that precedent of saying, well, this person who was a conservative got fired, because of espousing a belief. Then it's okay for, a conservative business to be gone after for firing a liberal. Then liberals should boycott the conservative business, and conservatives should boycott the liberal business. That's how it works. That's how the free market works. That's how capitalism works. You cannot use the government as your bully to say, well, that person was mean to me, so you need to make them pay. That is not right. So please support me in and make your own video, or make it known that there should not be a lawsuit about this kind of thing, or that justice is not meaning that this business suffers legally for making a business decision. This was a business decision for them to let this woman go, and I'm happy she voted for Trump. I personally voted for Trump. However, that doesn't matter. If you cannot work properly in the workplace, then you shouldn't be in the workplace. Plain and simple. Or you should find a better workplace. Why isn't she happy that she's now let go from that business so that she can go find a conservative business owner who will be happy to have her work there? Why would you want to work somewhere where people hate your opinion or your bosses hate your opinion, you're not going to get promoted. We already know that there's so many business politics that goes on in the behind the scenes that if someone doesn't like you, who's your boss, you're not going to get promoted most likely, unless you say you're a woman and you're being discriminated against, which is a whole other topic. But anyways, bottom line, she has every right to pursue a lawsuit, but justice should be, the outcome of that lawsuit should be, I'm sorry, there was no morally or unethical, thing about this. It was simply a matter of, interfering with the performance of the business. If you're causing frustration and tension in the workplace, you are interfering with that workplace, and you are therefore decreasing the productivity of that workplace, and therefore the owner, the boss, whoever it was, has the right to fire you. Now, if that boss cannot be able to be diplomatic enough to resolve that situation without having to fire that person, that's a whole other issue. But then again, that falls to the private sector, to the individuals. Thank you.